Hey everybody, I'm Robert Donovan. Welcome to this episode of Tradecraft Solutions. So in the last two videos, we covered the two most popular methods of deciding which debt to apply the extra payment to first, the debt avalanche and the debt snowball. Debt avalanche, you rank your debts in order of highest to lowest interest rate, apply the extra payment in that order. For the debt snowball, you rank your debts in order of lowest to highest principal balance, apply the extra payment in order of lowest to highest balance. In case you haven't picked up on the pattern I'm using here, you rank your debts somehow to decide the order to pay them off, and then you apply the extra payments to each individual debt in that order, adding the payment for each debt you pay off to the extra payment as you go, and applying the new higher extra payment to the next debt on the list. I call this cascading payments. The avalanche and snowball are just two possible techniques for doing this. The debt avalanche stacks your debts in order that saves the most in interest. The debt snowball is designed to keep you motivated by showing early progress, even if it costs you more in interest. Both of these are an attempt to deal with the emotional stress of debt to some degree. In this video, we're going to look at some lesser-known ways of ranking your debts. Whether they work better or worse for you will depend mostly on the combination of interest rates and principal balances for your debts and individual circumstances when you start using whatever method you choose. Many people associate certain debts with unpleasant experiences, something like a divorce, a court case, a failed business venture, you co-signed a loan for the wrong person and got left holding the bag. Now, there's absolutely no reason that you can't rank your debts in descending order of emotional stress and then just start cascading the extra payments as you pay off each debt until you pay them all off. The good side of that is you will get less stress from getting rid of nuisance debts early. Unfortunately, if the emotional loan is a fixed payment loan and has a high balance, and if you also can't make big extra payments, you're going to wind up paying max interest on all your other smaller loans because you're making the minimum payment on those. In this case, if you were to choose the federal student loan with $27,000 and that was the thing that bugged you, that one would take so long to pay off if you could only make a $100 extra payment to start that you'd virtually pay off all your other loans first using these minimum payments. Another way that a lot of people like to do this is known as the highest minimum payment first. Again, it's a less stress if you don't like the high minimum payments and they cause you undue anxiety. It works well for variable payment, high interest debts. Bad point about this is, again, low interest fixed payment loans can have high minimum payments because the balance is high. Look at the minimum payment here in this list for the car loan. It is the highest balance loan, and it has a very high minimum payment. It will take you a long time to pay it off, even if you're putting an extra $100, which is Dave Ramsey's starting point for the debt snowball. Unless you can make a bigger payment than that, you're really not doing yourself too many favors by using this method with this particular group of loans based on the balances and minimum payments shown. If you're talking credit cards, different story, because the minimum payment on credit cards goes down as you tackle the higher minimum payment. And this actually has, if you look at this slide here, this particular payment with this set of loans has the worst performance of the bunch. In a case like this, if you can't make big enough extra payments to pay off the big low-interest loan before the minimum payments pay off other debts, don't use this method. You'll just create more emotional stress for yourself, not less. The next approach to this is to use the highest monthly interest paid, which is your monthly rate factor, formula is on the screen and in the description below, times the balance. And you rank that highest to lowest, and you apply your cascading payments, starting with the one with the most monthly interest. This used to be the method I recommended, but you run into the same problem here again in that the loan with the highest monthly interest can also be a loan that has a high balance and a low interest rate. The car loan here is number 2 because it's got the highest balance, and the credit card, $14,000 credit card loan here is number 1 because it has the highest interest rate. But those are two loans that are going to take you a long time to pay off if you can't make a big extra payment. My new favorite strategy for most circumstances is the lowest debt to interest ratio if you're not going to use the debt avalanche. And that's basically you just divide the current balance by the APR. And then you apply the extra payments to the loan with the lowest debt to interest ratio first. And it is my current favorite of the mechanical methods, the formulaic methods. The good points about it is that it addresses the thing that the debt avalanche, the highest minimum payment, highest interest cost methods, they all ignore, and that is that interest cost is a function of interest rate and principal balance. The reason I switched to this method over the highest monthly interest cost approach is that it favors paying off high interest loans in order of lowest to highest balance and low interest loans in order of highest to lowest interest rate. Now, in this particular case, they stacked up perfectly this way. I didn't plan that. It just worked out that way. Doesn't always work out this neatly, but it does tend to make it work out along those lines. It frequently is a good compromise between the debt avalanche and the debt snowball. It's a little more expensive than the debt avalanche. It tends not to be quite as expensive in interest costs as the debt snowball. It combines the flexibility of early wins of the debt snowball with the generally lower interest costs of the debt avalanche. It's still more expensive than the debt avalanche in all but very, very rare cases. So the final thoughts I would leave you with are these. The debt avalanche will nearly always be the cheapest way to pay your debts off, except in very rare cases. By whatever method works best, pay off your variable payment debts like credit cards and lines of credit first, and then hit the fixed payment debts if you're not going to use the debt avalanche. If all you have is fixed payment debt, then go to Undead IT and see which one of these works best for you. The link is below in the description. If you pay your variable debts off first, that greater early savings frees up cash flow early, provides early wins by favoring lower balances, and it allows for bigger extra payments for the higher balance fixed pay debts. It provides the greatest early flexibility for emergency expenses with a mix of fixed and variable debts if you have a bunch of them. Don't obsess over saving a few dollars per month in interest if all it does is stress you out. There's nothing wrong with starting with one strategy and switching to another as you pay off various debts or as your circumstances change. It's always a good idea to use a tool like Undead IT, which is where I'm getting these slides from, using your actual debt numbers to see which of these strategies will work for you. The important thing is to get debt-free so you can devote your time, mental energy, and creative efforts to enriching yourself first rather than enriching bankers first. This video and the previous two are aimed primarily at those who are heavily in debt, but not so far in the hole that they can't come up with an extra payment and still cover all their other bills. If the total of all your debt payments makes you unable to pay all your other bills each month, you might want to try a debt consolidation loan, which will be the topic of our next video. If you like this content and want to help support the channel, then please give us a comment, like, or subscribe. If you do subscribe, please do remember to click the bell icon so you'll be notified when each new video is uploaded. If you want to see the full debt reduction playlist that we do on this channel, click on the top right link. If you want to see the entire Tradecraft Solutions playlist, click the bottom right link. And the bottom left link is what YouTube thinks you should be watching. Until the next time, we hope to see you in the next video, and may the balance of your day be awesome.